Hello, welcome to H2O Gaming. Today I'm gonna look at a game which is called Mechabellum. This game is pretty much my line of plays, except for maybe like Baldur's Gate or so. I spent quite some time in this game, and this game is kind of like an auto battle. So you have a large choice of different units which you put on a battlefield, and you're gonna look how they compete against the choices the other player has done. There are different game modes inside this game, so you can play 2 versus 2, you can play against an NI, but you can also play against other players. And today I'm going to show you one round of game and maybe talk a little bit what my decisions are and what kind of decisions you have to do. So basically this game is a bit much like a chess game. This is my interpretation. You do have to know quite a bit what these different units do, and of course, as usual with these kind of games, as longer as they are running, you have to learn more and more units and their strengths and weaknesses, so you can have to set them against the enemy. In my experience, what you usually do is you make a choice what the enemy is about to do, and at one point one or the other player takes on an initiative and the other one is reacting to it and tries to predict what the other player is doing, and then he will react accordingly, and then you try to predict his reaction. So this is pretty much the philosophy behind this kind of games. And I'm starting with a basic setup. So in case you don't know the game, I won't talk about the different units because this is not a guide of how to play this game. It's more just to give you an overview. I have made a break for about a year with this game. So there are some units and mechanics that I may not know, but basically the basic game loop is the same. So what I'm doing, I'm starting a collection of smaller units, which are rather cheap but big in numbers, and some heavier units. And I'm gonna look at the enemy, what he's come up with, and then we're gonna see what this rounds bring up. The first round is usually not so important. You're just gonna look what the enemy has, and then we see. So what I can see right now, he's very much focused on the snipers. These are light units which have a big range, like usually snipers do, and they do quite heavy damage against single targets. So of course I'm losing this round, but I'm not so worried about it. I think I have quite an idea where my opponent is going. He invested very much into snipers. That means my counter with that would be now to go with units that are rather large in numbers, that keeps him occupied. This kind of spider thing or tank thing that he has before is kind of like a unit that has a short range, and it's pretty good against light units. But he only at the moment has 2 of them, which is not as much. And you can see, since I'm seeing that he's very focused on single target damage, I'm bringing out a lot of more units. I also place him, since they all unit of the same type, they have the same speed. What I'm doing is I'm putting them behind each other so they can pour in, and the idea is that the enemy is starting to focus on these smaller units, and he's just wasting time and gives my other bigger units and damage dealers more time to move ahead. So we see what he's coming up with now. After a while I played I think it's about 300 hours in this game, which is quite a lot, but also shows that I enjoy this game pretty much. And it's very interesting since it has like a competitive side and it's kind of brain work. So you have to like fast reflexes or so you have enough time to think about your moves And then this game becomes interesting because it's like your strategy against the enemy's strategy. So you can see he's focusing very much on my my smaller units. He brought in some of his own smaller units, but they are not enough to really stop mine. And now you can see that his snipers have really a hard time dealing with the small units that I have. So from taking a bigger loss in the first unit, you can see that now the initiative and the momentum of this game is turning around. So he would probably have to make a move accordingly. What I can see also is that he has no real weapon to clear all my smaller units, except for the spider kind of tank. So I'm going to choose a bigger tank, which is good against single target, and try to focus, take some damage from him, and also take down his spider tank. So I can see that I don't have a lot of single target damage. So my thinking here was, if I use my single target units that are also good for chef clear, that's what the smaller units are called, to give it range, but I decide to go for a tank based single target damage. And I take this one now. Since I have had quite a lot of time that I haven't played this unit, it takes some time. To say about the money efficiency, you get every round you get a certain amount of points or money which you can invest to buy new units in. Right now I'm moving one smaller unit to distract his forces on the right hand side, and you can see now that he has this huge tanks with flamethrower. He finally acknowledged that he has a problem to deal with my smaller units, and you can see that his flamethrower makes quite a big impact on the smaller units. But since I predicted this kind of movement, my tanks do quite a bit of damage. And once you are able to use this, destroy these pylons that he has, you can see that his units get a debuff. They don't deal a lot of damage, and these couple of seconds that you have, I think it's about like 10 seconds, they're very valuable, since you get a lot stronger in this 10 seconds, and he almost doesn't do any damage. In between the rounds you get usually a choice between free units, or sometimes you have to pay a little bit extra for them, or to get some other bonuses for your existing or other units. I can see now that he has no anti-air except for his sniper units, but since they are a target, single target, my choice here is to go for an air unit that is large in numbers but small. So this will keep his snipers still busy, so they cannot focus my tanks, and they will take out his other units, or they can do quite some damage on his other. So I'm pretty much, since he keeps focusing on single target damage, I am going still in large numbers with smaller units. And until I see how he is react, I will try to predict that if he sees the anti-air right now, he will have to adapt to my momentum, and he has to change something. So he's still focusing on ground unit with his larger tanks. This is an upgrade that he has to pay for, and this costs him eventually money, which he cannot spend into other units. So he reacted on the top right side by choosing a unit that is very good against smaller light units. But you can see now that my tanks are taking out his units, and he gets overrun in the middle section. So his snipers again don't shoot my tanks, they have to deal with all these smaller units, and therefore this round goes to me again. So he's losing quite momentum right now. He has to make sure that he's adapting his strategy right now, because otherwise I'm starting to overwhelm him, and it's hard for him to react. So let's see what he comes up with. I expect an anti-air, but since I'm quite up in front, point-wise and money-wise, and my composition I think is just a little bit better, I'm going for long-range single target with a little bit of splash damage to deal with his unit. Since he's quite compressed in one point, I can use now some long-range kind of like artillery thing. Here I'm thinking about moving maybe one unit up front, which is eventually it doesn't make any sense. So I decide to put some more units up in the back, so to get him to divide his right side forces a little bit more. I picked up an extra perk where I can spawn like light units in the middle. That's all for distracting him and slowing him down on the right hand side. So right now he came up with an air unit himself. That's a heavy unit that is pretty good in dealing with smaller units and takes out a lot of damage. But you can see I took out, he deals with my units very fast, but his flying units are now a lot of in the back, so they cannot engage the fight at the beginning. And you can see his snipers are shooting my little air units, which maybe will be enough to destroy his tower on the right hand side too. And now he has like a double debuff, but since I have no units to fight his air unit, because they are stronger than I expected, I have to wait, and yeah, my units just sit down now and get shot at, and eventually I will lose this round. So now I have to adapt to the situation and have to think about something that is able to deal with his heavy air units. I expect him to go more for an air unit right now, and I choose for a kind of rocket artillery unit. This is very good to deal, since it makes splash damage, to deal in long range with all kinds of ground and air units. And since I don't want to get it involved, since it's quite squishy, I will move it into a long range position, so it doesn't run up to the front and just get shot at. Having like 200 gold, let's say, left over, so I'm gonna keep him busy again. I think I could kind of like commit more to the right hand side on top to keep him more busy, but since he's so focused on it right now, that doesn't make any sense. So I'm just gonna keep him busy on the right hand side and try to overwhelm him. He's going full into these flying units right now, which I think is a mistake, because he would have to predict that I will adapt to this playstyle, which I eventually did with my artillery units. And let's see how this goes, and if his decision was right, and if I can actually overpower him still. I think this is going to be a close round, but let's see what's happening. He's taking some time, This player is, I mean, it's maybe kind of unfair because he's definitely not bad, but he has like a fighting force or experience points and kind of like 200,000. I have like 2,000, which is basically just because I haven't played so long, so I start at 0 and I have to play again. He brought in another tank unit which is very strong against other tanks, and he's soaking up quite some damage. But you can see that my artillery with his blast damage is making like short work of him, and his flamethrower does not really work well against other units. So there you can see my anti-air strategy worked. So he's taken even more damage. The damage that he's taken is basically recognized by the numbers and the units that are left on the battlefield on the opposing front. That means if you have just one small unit, you don't take a lot of health damage. If you have like a lot of units just now, so it takes quite an impact. Since my units did quite some damage with the long-range artillery, I expect him now to bring in more heavy ground units. So I'm going more for long-range artillery build, since except for his snipers, he does not have any long-range builds. Right now, I have two possibilities. I could go more into chaff clear, which does not make any sense. So I choose to take some like missiles, which do quite some splash damage and are really good against smaller units, because they have this range of detection, and if they detect a unit that comes in, they fly automatically towards it and damage it. And of course it doesn't do anything against something big, but I also take another special feature from a unit that has a double shot. So my mobile long-range artillery right now is attacking twice, which makes sense if you deal with heavier units. And he's realizing now that he does not have smaller units, so he's going into this, but my rockets pretty much take out his entire smaller units. And you can see the double shot artillery makes short works of bigger units right now, and they doing quite some damage. So my smaller units already break through in the middle. So his forces again are divided, and my long-range artillery has enough time to shoot his entire backline. They are fighting like smaller units and kind of like losing everything else. So I think this should be now enough to win this round. And I won this game. I don't think that my opponent is was really like in the top 10% of the game. He played decent, he had a strategy that he followed, but he did not manage to adapt to my group or army composition. He should have brought a lot more smaller units to take off the focus of his game. Overall, I encourage you to try out this game. If you like this kind of mind games and strategy games, this game is probably for you. So thank you for watching. Have a nice day. Bye bye.